This build is a masterwork. The Tonkiness is incredible, 6.3k life, 90% maximum elemental resistance, 100% spell suppression, 2k life regen and pretty high damage. This was a very long journey from the beach to Uber boss face tanking. What's up guys, Bridget here. Ground Slam is a melee skill that will make a pretty noticeable wave that will travel where you're looking with your cursor. Most satisfying thing is the area that you can hit with your attack. This is not even a melee skill at this point. Just look how far away we can reach. We will also scale bleed damage thanks to the high base damage that this skill has. The easiest way to increase the damage even further is add to the mix many multipliers, so we can just inflict pretty big bleed damage on the target using 4 Warcry that will exert our attacks, making the base hit damage super high. Because of this we will use a newly added support gem that's the over-exertion. It will give us 18% more damage per Warcry that is exerting our attacks. So we're using 4 Warcry, that's 4 times 18. 72% more damage from a single support gem, which is one of the highest multiplier that is coming from a single support gem. Alone would be annoying to use that many Warcry, also it would require every time a boss or monster presents to benefit from all the Warcry damage increase. For this occasion we will use Chieftain. There is two main points why we need this Ascendancy if we're talking about damage. First is, there is a notable 7 Suns roll. It will give us Warcry buff effect alone, not too big of a deal. The other part of this notable is the most important. Warcry has unlimited power. That means there is no need to monster or bosses around us to use our Warcries and get the full effect of it. The other reason why is Chieftain Ascendancy, that 2, War's Herald. This will give you the level 20 Fist of War, which is get buffed this league, so this is a 98% damage multiplier. Although it has a 1.8 second cooldown, so you need to line up all the Warcries and the Fist of War as well at the same time, which will result pretty big bleed damage. The best multiplier for a bleed build is that enemy will start moving around. This will triple the bleed damage. Sadly, most of the endgame bosses not moving, just teleporting, so the damage would be not too amazing. This league we got a new stats, and that's the Aggravated. This will make the target take triple damage from bleed, just like moving. Sadly, we only have a chance to happen this one. Precisely 55% chance, so this is why you sometimes see me just attacking and then suddenly stopping and just running around. Because of the Aggravated is procced. Let's talk about Ryslatha Coil. Why we not using it? Keep in mind, this is my personal opinion, so if you not agree with me, that's fine. The reason why I'm not using it. First, this is an expensive item. When I was making the video, the market price was 70 Y. I think it's a pretty expensive for an item that only gives us quote-unquote damage and nothing else. Why I said that quote-unquote damage? First, you have to understand how the bleed rolls works. I will use this build as an example. Our lowest physical damage is 297k. The highest 594k. These two numbers is pretty close to each other, right? The damage range that we will roll is relatively small, so our damage will be consistent, which is, I think, the most important. Let's add Ryslatha Coil. Lowest physical damage is 189k and the highest damage 805k. The damage range now pretty high and this will result pretty inconsistent damage. Also keep in mind, the reason in the path of building the damage is much better with the Ryslatha Coil because it's considering your lores will be always 88%. But let me tell you, this is not the case unless you're getting lucky, but then the build will feel bad when you low roll. Also, other point against this item. We talk about Aggravated stat. We have 55% chance. Now let's add to the mix or high damage range, and now you have a recipe for disaster. Let me ask a question. What happens when you low roll, which will happen by the way 30% of the time, and then you will deal the same amount of damage like you not using this item. Only 30% of the time you will feel the damage increase, and also you need to high roll the Aggravated proc chance as well. The main reason why I'm not using it because where the heck is the defensive stats on this one? 90 life is nothing, and that's the defensive stance on the item. Why I would use this one instead of Varroa, Stygian Vice Belt? Why also getting like 150 life and the useful stats like chaos resistance and other resistance? Also don't forget about the Abyss Javel socket here, so that's another against this item. Now we have damage, only one thing left, and that's the Tonkiness. How we that Tonky? This is the other reason why we choose Chieftain as our Ascendancy. The Ascendancy also helping us to cap our resistance so we can be capped for a cheaper price. But the true power of this, the next node, Volako Storm's Embrace. Modifier to maximum fire resistance also apply to maximum cold and lightning resistances. We only need to increase our fire resistance and the others as well will increase. How we achieve that? This league we got a buff to the Javelins. Now it can roll maximum fire resistance up to 2%. We will use 4 of these Javelins. This is 8%, from the 3 also we getting 6% and we using boost implicit for the remaining 1% maximum fire resistance. This is how we reaching 90% all elemental resistance. We will pairing to this spell suppression. It's pretty hard to cap our suppression on this side of the tree, so we need to use a unique Javelin that's the Green Nightmare. Passive grants cold resistance or all elemental resistance in radius, also grants chance to suppress spell damage and 70% of its value. This Javelin alone gives us 27% suppression. Big chunk is coming from the tree and the Magebane Keystone, the remaining is from the items. It's important to cap your suppression. If you're trying without this stat, you will most likely die to spells like Uber Sirius Meteor. Worth to mention, we can have 5 endurance charges. This is important because this league they buffed it and now it will give you 4% elemental damage reduction, so this is 20% less damage taken. We will generate with the Enduring Cry, also this give you life regen as well, so it's worth to use it often. When I tested on the first Uber boss, that was Sirius, I was very nervous because the damage was little low in the POB, but in the game it was fantastic. The Tonkiness is also incredible. I'm super happy how this new build turned out. Pretty safe and has good damage. Only one thing I would complain, and that's when you can't hit anything because one of the big damage reduction is coming from the Fortify and that has 11-second duration. This is looks long, but on Uber Sirius 5 sometimes he's just untargetable, so you can't hit it and you will lose the buff and die to the Meteor. This happened me twice while I was recording the footages. For me, the Warcry piano was not a problem at all, but of course if you have issue with your hand or just want to play a build that using one button, this is not for you. Let's take a look on the gear side. Our weapon is a pretty important piece of gear in this build. I have an 800 Fizz DPS axe. So guys, if you really want to aim for Uber boss scaling, you need to get around this axe. Okay, I have a trigger level 10 show ground on hit as well. This will increase the damage taken the target takes by 15%. The way I make this axe, I was just purchasing the base with the attack speed fracture. It was like 80 chaos and then started alteration and augmenting till I hit the flaring physical damage. You can see pretty high roll as well. After that I needed to clean up. How to clean up? I had bad suffixes, so I needed prefixes cannot be changed, scour, that was too divine. Then I was able to craft can have up to 3 crafted modifier, 100% increase physical damage and physical damage overtime multiplier. That was costed 2 divine and an exalted orb. That's pretty easy to make this one, but if you want to make better, that will cost so much more. The other important piece of gear is the body armor lighting coil. This will give you the huge physical damage reduction because it's converting the physical damage from hits to lighting damage. You can't craft better than this one. I'm sorry, there is no way, as I said earlier, there is no way. This item just super strong, so if you want to stunk Uber Sirius Meteor, Shaper Slam without activating your guard skill or any cheesing technique, then this body armor is a must have. So the gloves, as you can see, it has fracture life, suppression and cold resistance and crafted lightning resistance. I bought the base for like 20 KS, started spamming cold resistance essence on it till I hit this one and I had an open suffix as well. The boots, as you can see, it's nothing really impressive, so huge life, suppression, movement speed and chains to avoid being chilled. So guys, you don't need this modifier, okay? This is a hybrid modifier. Somebody that I purchased got this one, so the avoid being chilled is no effect on us because we have 100% avoid elemental elements, so don't worry about this, just movement speed, okay? And you need an open suffix to change to avoid elemental elements and implicit, again, change to avoid elemental elements. This is coming from Ether of Words, and Searing Exarch implicit is +1 to maximum fire resistance. The helmet is the same, maximum life, change to suppress spell damage, and cold and lightning resistance. And that's it. That was pretty cheap. I think I just purchased it like 50 KS. and you need the physical damage taken from hits as fire. It doesn't matter, by the way, fire, cold or lightning. It doesn't matter which one, just you need this one. And 10% increase vulnerability curse effect. This is pretty important as well, because this will increase your damage by significantly. Then Vermilion Ring, as you can see, this is a pretty big one. Okay guys, this is a pretty big one. I personally crafted this one with I was just purchasing it with the base as a white, and then added the Fertile Catalyst to increase the maximum life rolls, and then just reforge life on the fortification station till I hit something like that, and craft increased damage. The other ring as well, pretty huge, as you can see, it gives you 58% chaos resistance. That's pretty big. I just purchased the base for like, I think it was 1 divine, maybe less, I don't remember exactly, and just reforge chaos till I hit this one. So I was pretty lucky to hit the fire resistance and the chaos, and we also, as you can see, have an open suffix as well. So this ring is just giving us tons of chaos resistance. This is our main chaos resistance source. Look at this. So this is 76% chaos resistance, and by the way, this is pretty easy to make, just you need to get the base. The amulet I just purchased, nothing really big, just life, damage over time multiplier, and int, because sadly our character is pretty dumb because he lives on the left side of the tree. There is no too much intelligence node, maybe just 1 or 2, and that's it. And our anointment crystal skin, because it gives us avoid elemental ailments and +1 to maximum elemental resistance. And let's talk about the Pantheons. Pantheons we're using for bossing, Soul of Solaris, and you need to upgrade with reduce elemental damage taken if you haven't been hit recently. This is pretty important if you want to tank Uber Cirrus Meteor, Shaper, Slam. Also, I upgraded as well, take no extra damage from critical strike if you taken a critical strike recently. This is pretty good for mapping as well, because I was running tier 17 maps with high critical chance, so this basically makes you crit immune. Minor God, we're using Soul of Tukohama, and we also upgraded regenerate 2% life per second while stationary. We're using this one because when we stationary, we're getting 9% physical damage reduction. This is pretty important when you want to tank, again, Shaper, Slam, Uber Cirrus Meteor, because you can just stand still and you will get 9% physical damage reduction. Pretty huge. We're using the Green Nightmare Javel here. It's pretty important to put here because this is the part of the tree where you can get cold resistance and all elemental resistance because of the gem. Passives granting cold resistance or all elemental resistance in radius also grants chance to suppress spell damage and 70% value. So this is pretty huge, and also I changed the dexterity nodes here to cold resistance. As you can see, this gives us 4% suppression, so 8% total. This Javel gives us, I think, 25% suppression, which is pretty good. Ancestral Vision here. Ancestral Vision modifiers to chance to suppress spell damage also apply to chance to avoid elemental ailments at 50% value. So guys, yes, this is 9 divine. I'm not kidding, 9 divine. So it's pretty pricey, but it's worth it. Trust me guys, you will love it. If you have the money, and obviously your other gear is upgraded, you need to start saving for this bad boy here. This will make your life much easier, much more enjoyable the whole game, and because you want, tank Uber Cirrus, Shaper, Eater of Worlds, Cortex, all the Uber bosses, they all doing like big shocks, big chills, but the shock is the most annoying and the most deadliest element that you can on yourself in a Uber boss fight. And yes, you can see we using a Cluster Javel here with Iron Breaker, Battle Hardened and Furious Assault. For the reason is because it gives us attack speed, and the attack speed will feel pretty good when you attacking and trying to fish for the aggravated blades, right? Medium Cluster Javel with Lead by Example and Mob Mentality. The reason is why Lead by Example, because it gives you Onslaught and a little Dexterity as well. Dexterity is welcomed, Strength is welcome because it's 5 life, so that's reasonable, but the onslaught will give you pretty fast movement speed and attack speed, and it will feel the build overall much better. The mob mentality, we using this one because we can generate with this one frenzy charges. We only care about frenzy charges. This is why we took the savagery as well for the +1 maximum charges. So when you starting using your warfare, see you starting getting frenzy charges. Okay, but the next thing, guys, it's also pretty expensive. This setup, +1, +2 maximum fire resistance, life and physical damage over time multiplier. You need the plus maximum fire resistance. As you can see, we reached 90% fire resistance, 90% all elemental resistance with these javelins, because this ones is giving you, see, 2% for all, because we're using Chieftain and Volatile Storm Embers, maximum modifiers to maximum fire resistance, also maximum cold and lightning resistances. So we're using 4 of these javelins, as I mentioned earlier. Look at this here as well. This is a pretty good one. Okay, this one, not is this one as well, and the last as well here. And how are you making this one? So you need to purchase the base. I was purchasing the bases for 1 divine and just started reforge a life. As you can see, you need the weird crystals like life force. You're coming here and start crafting till you hit life and damage over time multiplier. It doesn't matter if fist damage or damage over time multiplier. I settle down here the damage over time multiplier and here as well. So don't worry about too much. You like losing 0.7% damage, so that's not too big of a deal, right? About the Ascendancy. So we're using Sion Sun's Roar and Tukomal's War Herald. So this was the order as well, why I was leveling up. Sion Sun's Roar first, Tukomal's War Herald second, because this is a pretty big multiplier for our damage, like 98%. So this is pretty good. And the defensive layers, Tassalio Cleansing Water, unaffected by Ignite, and you will have a good time when you just starting stacking fire resistance. As you can see, okay, my cold resistance is much higher, it doesn't matter. So yeah, Volatile Storm Embers, this is our main damage reduction source. So our gemlings in our weapon: Intimidating Cry, Infernal Cry, Urgent Orders, Enduring Cry, Seismic Cry, and more duration. In our helmet, Frostblink, Automotation, and Blood Rage. Why you was doing boss fights, so like, you know, Ubers, I turned off, okay? So don't forget this one, because it will drain your life pretty quick. I mean, not draining your life quickly, because you will not noticing it, but when you want to tank like Uber Shaper Beam, that will be pretty significant. You losing your how much life? 4% of your life. So yeah, so just turn off and yeah, don't worry about that much anymore. In our body armor, our main skill: Ground Slam of Earthshaking, Chains to Bleed, Overexertion, Cruelty, Brutality, and Awaken melee fist damage support. In our gloves, Battle Mage Cry, Cast when damage taken, Molten Shell, Vulnerability. In our boots, Pride, Leap Slam, Faster Attack, and Eternal Blessing. One tip I can give you as well: while you're doing boss fights, you can just unsocket the faster attacks and socket here the Cooling Strike. It will feel pretty good, just cool down at 10% the bosses. I hope you enjoyed this video about Bleed Ground Slam Chieftain. If you have any question, please leave a comment below, or you can find me on twitch.tv/Project2. Also, I would like to say thank you for my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. I was Pidget. See you next time.